Hello and welcome back to another video with me, Meoni, for Final Fantasy XIV. Today we're looking at both of the new Framers kits added in patch 7.35 to Pilgrim's Traverse, the brand new Deep Dungeon located in Ilmeg. Just as a refresher, if you're wanting to unlock this content, you need to go over to the Crystarium and start the quest there. There's a plus quest right next to the Aetheryte with the Bright-Eyed Child. With that said, I have gone and cleared with our group yesterday. I've done a couple of clears since then with random pug groups as well, and quite honestly, it's quite an easy deep dungeon in the grand scheme of things, especially in comparison to that of, Eureka Orthos and places like that. So this probably comes a little bit late. A lot of you have probably already cleared, but there are two new adventurer kits, plate kits, and if we go over to Osweed and if we go to the exchange copies of Illumed Invocations, you get one of these per clear from the end, the floor 100, so that's floor 71 to floor 100, including the level 99 boss and the other two bosses as well. You can get these books. As you can see, I've done this a couple of times, so it costs 2 books for pretty much everything apart from luminous oil. One of the things we'll probably end up looking at in the future is these accessories and the housing item. But today we've got the Distant Sanctum's Framers Kit, which completely comes with a portrait element of background and accent, as well as base plate elements for your actual adventurer plate, so your base plate and your portrait frame. So there's not a full set of things within this, so let's have a look at it. It costs 2 of these, so 2 runs in total to get this adventurer plate. So let's hope it's worth it. Additionally, there's also the much easier to get right at the start exchange artifacts option, also on Osweed. And if we see on here, it says the Pilgrim's Traverse Framers Kit for 10 illumed Aetherpool glass. The best way to get illumed Aetherpool glass is from your level 51 plus Q. That seems to be where the majority of the bronze coffers drop these. The higher floors don't seem to offer them quite as much, or at least my RNG doesn't seem to be as good there. And you can exchange, obviously, as many as you like for a variety of items. The actual Framers Kit will cost you 10 of these Aetherpool glass. So that's where we've got the second one from as well. Okay, let's look at these two then. First, we have the Pilgrim's Traverse portrait. That's what this looks like. So, of course, we have ourselves some flowers as an accent here. We don't have a frame for this, and the background is of Pilgrim's Traverse, so we've got that stained glass. It does seem to have this weird fade into a sort of dark or grey blue, which is an interesting choice. I personally would have preferred if the stained glass was more covered across the entire thing. I think a lot of people will probably look at this and go, is there much point? I agree with that statement. I think it could have been a lot more than it currently is. It's not my personal cup of tea. I think the only thing worthwhile is for the flowers themselves and to mix and match those with other portraits. Not a massive fan of how this looks as a whole thing. The second one then is the Distant Sanctums, and that one is a lot more cool. Like, if you compare the two, oh my goodness. So obviously this is in relation to the final boss with Dark and Light, without spoiling too much, obviously, because I want you to enjoy that. We've got the Distant Sanctum's background, which is absolutely gorgeous. I love this sort of crystalline structure. In fact, let's take that one off the accent so you can see the background. Nice sort of dark crystal background. I really like that sort of void stone, if you will. I think that's a really nice background that could be used for a variety of situations. And if we put back on the accent from that, you'll see Sanctum Stone. As you can see, my character disappearing between those. I think honestly it's worth it getting the Framers Kit with your illumed books, just simply for the accent. I really love that. I think that is so cool, and I'll probably end up using that myself. So let's see what the actual plates look like with these. Okay, so with the actual portrait included, this is the Pilgrim's Traverse portrait, as well as all of the other elements from the Pilgrim's Traverse plate itself. So as you can see here, we don't have a pattern overlay or backing or any of that stuff. We in fact only have a base plate of Pilgrim's Traverse, and obviously the portrait kit itself inside that we already looked at. I think this is a little bit unfortunate. I was kind of hoping that we were going to get extra top borders, bottom borders, you know, an extra portrait frame, things like that. Well, we did get a portrait frame, but you know what I mean, like plate frames and accents and stuff. It feels a little bit bare, and I think they could have probably done better with this. It does seem a little bit basic, but that is, you know, illumined glass. It's not the it's not the hardest thing in the world to get, but I thought that it would be a little bit brighter, maybe, considering where we are in Ilmeg, although the sky at the moment, at the time of recording, doesn't reflect that. It's usually a bright and vibrant place. I would have liked to have seen some of that vibrancy come through. That's not to say that the base plate isn't horrible, you know, it's nice. I like it, but it's definitely a floor view of one of the floors inside the early floors inside Pilgrim's Traverse, as opposed to looking up in the sky, so to speak. So it's okay, but it's not my favorite out of the two. And then if we look at the Distant Sanctums one, this one's a bit cooler, actually, because this is in relation to one of the bosses. This is actually the floor set, the second to last boss arena, which is an interesting decision. I was kind of wondering if they were going to use the last boss area as like a background. Apparently they did not. This is the second to last boss. The giant guy with his hexagonal cleaves and things like that. The backhand attacks, which is quite a fun fight. Yeah, so again, we've got a problem here. We've got a base plate of Distant Sanctums and then just a portrait frame of Distant Sanctums, which together look pretty cool, especially with the portrait included, but no accent is a no-no from me. And I do feel like, considering you're exchanging 2 of your books to be able to purchase this, and that's basically 2 clears to be able to get this portrait frame and framers kit, the accent on the portrait itself is probably the only thing I will end up using from this, especially if you compare this to something like Eneratos, for example. I know they had the base plate and the portrait frame there. I don't know, I think I prefer those, even though they also didn't do top borders and things with those previous deep dungeons. I don't know, man. I just don't like this plate at all, the portrait frame, which I could totally, you know, just turn off if I wish to, of course. But yeah, as a whole, I think that the second one, using the books, is worth it more than the first one, but they're both pretty substandard, at least in my opinion. But I enjoyed Pilgrim's Traverse. I'm enjoying re-clearing that. Obviously, I've got lots of things to collect with the books, so I'll be doing lots of re-clears on both Twitch and YouTube. And if you want to come by and say hello, feel free to do so. But yeah, that's basically the rewards for the framers kits. Much love, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.